Why does something as common as one drink feel harmless, but can quietly overload your liver when you're on Macrobid? Macrobid is one of the most prescribed antibiotics for urinary tract infections. Most people assume the warning on the label is just standard fine print, but inside the body, something very specific happens. When alcohol and this medication show up at the same time, understanding that process reveals how the liver decides what to handle first, and why that decision can quietly throw your whole system off balance. Most people think of the liver as a drain. Stuff goes in, gets cleaned out, and moves on. But that's not how it actually works. The liver is more like an air traffic controller. It's constantly managing a long list of incoming substances, medications, hormones, food byproducts, and waste, deciding which ones get processed first. At the top of that priority list, toxins. When alcohol enters the bloodstream, the liver immediately recognizes it as a toxic substance, so it shifts almost all of its available resources toward breaking it down. The liver uses specific enzymes, primarily alcohol dehydrogenase, to break alcohol into smaller compounds that can be eliminated. Everything else gets moved to the back of the line. The liver doesn't multitask equally. When alcohol shows up, it takes over. So while the liver is dealing with alcohol, what's happening to the medication? Macrobid, whose active ingredient is nitrofurantoin, is an antibiotic designed specifically to treat urinary tract infections. After you swallow it, it gets absorbed through the gut and enters the bloodstream. From there, it circulates through the body and gets processed by the liver. Using enzyme systems that rely on glutathione, it's then filtered out largely through the kidneys and concentrated in the urine, which is exactly where it needs to go to fight the infection. Under normal conditions, this process runs smoothly and efficiently. But normal conditions require a liver that isn't already fully occupied. So what actually happens when both alcohol and Macrobid hit the liver at the same time? The liver can only do so much at once. It has a finite number of enzymes and a limited capacity to process chemicals simultaneously. When alcohol arrives, it hijacks that capacity. This creates what researchers describe as a metabolic bottleneck. The enzymes are occupied, resources are diverted, and other substances, including the medication, have to wait longer than normal to be processed. When Macrobid lingers in the system longer than expected, it means the medication isn't reaching the right concentration levels in the urine as quickly, and the body is now carrying two competing chemical burdens at the same time. It's not a direct chemical reaction between the two, it's a traffic jam inside the liver. Here's what makes this interaction so easy to ignore. When people think of a dangerous drug interaction, they imagine something immediate, a sudden reaction, an obvious warning sign, something the body makes impossible to miss. But this isn't that kind of interaction at all. What happens with Macrobid and alcohol is entirely metabolic. It happens quietly, inside the liver, out of sight. The liver slows down. Drug clearance takes longer. Side effects can feel stronger or last longer than expected. Recovery from the infection may take more time. There's no alarm, no dramatic moment, just a system running under more strain than it should be. Nothing feels wrong in the moment. That's exactly what makes it easy to underestimate. Why do some people feel noticeably worse when they combine the two? Both alcohol and Macrobid share some of the same side effects: nausea, dizziness, fatigue, and stomach discomfort. On their own, these are manageable. But when both are in the system at the same time, those effects can compound. Alcohol irritates the stomach lining and disrupts digestion, which can make it harder for the body to absorb medication properly. Macrobid is actually recommended to be taken with food specifically to reduce nausea. Alcohol undermines that buffer. At the same time, the liver's reduced efficiency means both substances linger in the body longer than normal. More time means more opportunity for side effects to build. On top of that, alcohol is known to suppress the immune system, the very system your body needs to fight off the infection Macrobid is trying to treat. Nothing new is happening, but everything the body is already managing gets harder to handle. Is the liver actually getting damaged in this situation? This is where the science gets important to understand clearly. Macrobid on its own, even without alcohol, is already one of the more liver-intensive antibiotics available. Research published in medical literature has identified nitrofurantoin as one of the more common causes of drug-induced liver injury, particularly when used long-term. The liver processes it using a specific enzyme pathway, and in some individuals, that process can generate compounds that stress liver cells. Alcohol adds its own layer of strain on top of that, The liver uses significant resources to metabolize alcohol into compounds that can be safely eliminated. That process depletes certain enzymes and generates byproducts like acetaldehyde that are toxic to liver cells. When both are present, the liver isn't just slowing down, it's working harder than normal under conditions that are already more demanding than usual. The liver isn't failing, it's triaging. But triaging has costs. So, does this mean one drink is going to cause serious damage? For most healthy people, a single drink isn't going to cause catastrophic liver failure. But that's not really the right question to ask. The real issue is what combining the two does to how the body processes everything, and what that means for actually getting better. Alcohol slows the liver's ability to clear the medication. The drug stays in the bloodstream longer than it should. It doesn't reach optimal concentration levels in the urine as quickly. The immune system gets weaker at exactly the moment it needs to be stronger, and recovery from the infection slows down. Spacing them out matters. Giving the liver time to clear alcohol before processing the medication keeps each substance running through its own dedicated pathway at full efficiency. It's not about fear. It's about understanding what the liver needs to do its job. This interaction reveals something much bigger about how the human body actually works. The liver isn't just a detox organ. It's one of the most complex metabolic systems in the body, constantly managing competing priorities, making real-time decisions about what gets processed and when. Most people don't think about that until something goes wrong. But the liver is doing this work constantly, in the background, with every substance that enters the body. When alcohol is present, it triggers a kind of biological emergency response. The liver locks down, resources shift, everything else slows. That's a feature, not a bug. It's what keeps alcohol from accumulating to dangerous levels in the bloodstream. But that same protective mechanism has a cost. Medications that rely on precise timing and efficient clearance don't get that under these conditions. And this isn't unique to Macrobid. Many medications share this vulnerability. The liver has limited bandwidth. Alcohol consumes a significant portion of it. What doesn't fit into that bandwidth waits, and everything downstream is affected. Understanding the liver as a priority-based system, not just a passive filter, changes how to think about everything from medication timing to the role of diet in long-term health. The liver is always managing a workload. The question is just how heavy that workload is at any given moment. Mixing Macrobid and alcohol doesn't cause an explosion inside the body. There's no dramatic reaction, no immediate red flags. What happens is quieter than that. The liver shifts focus, processing slows. The medication lingers longer than it should. Side effects compound. The immune system gets weaker at exactly the wrong time, and the infection takes longer to clear. The liver is doing exactly what it's designed to do, prioritizing what it sees as the most urgent threat. But that prioritization comes at a cost to everything else in the system. That's the liver lockdown. Not a crash, not a collapse, just a system quietly running at reduced efficiency, and everything depending on that system paying the price. And that's what makes it so easy to ignore. Nothing feels wrong in the moment until the body is already falling behind.